also how to flex on current life. So the idea of the landscape was a very important project in the last 20 years. Variety of museums, interior and exterior. Next. These are the library in Quebec and the museum in Madrid. Also studied the different projects. The top one is in Chicago. The top right hand is a project for China Galaxy, which is on site, which is the idea of how to reinterpret the idea of the urban block. And in this particular case, it was not a high-rise, but a series of buildings which intersect, and through them forming an entire landscape, but also the space itself as a workspace becomes also part of that layering on that side. Next. Also, a very large-scale project, the Singapore project, the project in Beijing, which are to do with swarms and topography, and also Istanbul one more time, dealing with the quarry. Where Shells and Domes is, I will lecture with all these different projects. Next. The shells, the idea of some of these projects are to do with also new materiality, the Paul Library, the bicycles, and the stations for Innsbruck, clusters and jigsaws. Next. So this is the Cincinnati Museum, a project for the Guadalajara Hotel. Also the landscape on the far right of a series of furniture which cluster together to form one unit, and when you fragment them or explode them, they form another series of units. Next. The interpretation of that side of vertical museum and how the idea of the landscape connects to the street, so it's called the urban carpet. Next. The other idea of the aggregate, and this is a school in London which opened a year ago, which is made of 4 schools, and they so each school is shown as a block, and they connect together, forming one large school, and in this case, the sport field or the running track runs through the building. There are 4 schools, and the one side is also the sport facilities and other classrooms. Some of these are multi kind of purpose halls, which can become dining rooms or classrooms. There's a very interesting program which was started by the Labour Party in the UK, which is called the Academies, and the idea that a sponsor can endow a project by whatever amount of money, and the government will match it 10 times. So if the building, the sponsor gives £3 million, the government will give £30 million. The only thing that the sponsor has an influence on is the direction of the school, in the sense that this school focuses on mathematics and sports. Some of the schools focus on other form of arts or something. That's the running track, or running field. The other idea of aggregates or erosion, so 2 things come together. Ideas of erosion and aggregates. Next. This is a project which hasn't opened yet in Montpellier in the south of France, which is, again, 3 programs, like the school, but it's 3 programs. One program is a kind of a very large archive building, a theater, a library, and a sport administration. This is for the state. And the idea is that the 3 buildings are clustered together in one large cluster, and the erosion in between are all the public spaces. So what is happening in between is like the streets, which are vertical streets or horizontal, there are all the public areas, as it is on site. And so you can see the confluence of lines. So the idea of the aggregates and the lines come together, and the confluence of lines begin to appear in all the mullions and also all the louvering on the exterior. Some of the interior shots, these very large, massive precast concrete blocks as they cluster together. And all the louvering and the comprehensive lines on the exterior walls. This will open in September, in the summer. So not only we became really interested in how to interpret some of these ideas to achieve more dynamism and more complexity, but onto how also the making or the fabrication of these buildings, the intricate kind of the contrast between very kind of raw and rough material, as in the precast concrete pieces, and they've very refined mullions and louvers. This idea of the lines and how they intersect and separate constantly, as in almost like a delta, appeared first. Well, first it appeared in the Islamic Museum in Qatar, and then later in Rome, before that in the IIT project is showing the building from the air in Rome and how it connects to all the geometry around the side. It's an arbitrary geometrical, the way it moves around relates to kind of the existing urbanity, how some of these vistas address or look at the building. So there are a series of streams, as in rivers, and there are minor streams and major streams. The major streams are all the galleries, and the minor streams are all the bridges which connect all the buildings together. So these comprehensive lines also appear on the roofscape and also internally to almost guide you through the building as it moves around the side. And also you can see the vertical connections throughout the building in the vertical space. Another project which is also to do with kind of, let's say, melting or looking at rivers is at the Transport Museum in Glasgow, which is on the kind of meeting point of two rivers, the Clyde and Calvin, and it's a kind of reminder of the industries which occurred in Glasgow in the kind of the 20th century, in the 19th century. There's the roofscape, which is using a roofing material to cover the exterior, the roof, and the horizontal elevation. The interiors, we did not design the kind of exhibit, but it's basically showing all that, because in Scotland they made in these very large shipyards, they made the ships, but they also made all the trains to ship to various countries across the world. So there are some trains here which were used in Africa, and they came back with it to be shown. So the lines on the ceiling go endlessly to the edge. And so we are outside now. It's basically a melted shed with a kind of a cut-off at the both ends. So as you move away from it, you see these lines into the building.